Hello there and welcome back. This is Jeff broadcasting on my Zero Crust, that's Zero Trust Without the Hard Bits YouTube channel. And today I thought we would have a look at how Admin By Request handles UAC elevation prompts, basically, because you have many to choose from. And what we're going to do is have a look at the three modes that we have that you can configure. You can configure different modes for different groups of users and computers, and look at the benefits and considerations of those types. And of particular interest for me is the multi-factor mode. I'm going to be showing you probably what is more common, the MS Authenticator push, but also we're going to have a look at using a FIDO2 YubiKey in Admin By Request, which I think is the most frictionless and secure means of performing elevations with Admin By Request. So let's get stuck in and have a look at our UAC elevation modes. Right then, so on the left you have the page. I mean, this is a subsetting, so this would be in your global settings, endpoint UAC. I've got it in a subsetting for my Entra computers, and I can have any number of subsettings and different settings for different groups of users and computers. Now currently I'm using the kind of original authentication mode, which is called Authenticate, and this was the one that we started out with a long time ago, and this is essentially native Windows. So if I basically go and run Rufus that needs admin to run, I'm going to get a little splash that tells me that ABR is in play, and the next thing you're going to see is the good old native UAC prompt, which is going to ask me to type in my username and password. So on the good, I've got elevation at the point, authentication, sorry, at the point of elevation. Very good. Not so good, I've got to type in my credentials. So my test user at t1teamabr.com, I think that's right, and password. So this is a non-admin user, but Admin By Request is enabling it to elevate Rufus just this once. There we go, and we have elevation with the native authenticate mode, which is driverless. So that means that there's not even any driver on our side doing anything here. This is totally native and driverless. So this is kind of like a bulletproof UAC mode. Now, if you've got Windows Hello configured, which I don't on this VM, you could also use any of the Windows Hello types of MFA as well. But for this particular setup, I'm just using the traditional credentials. So that is Authenticate mode. All right. Next is the Confirm mode. So Confirm mode, if I just save that here, Confirm mode is the well, I'd say probably one of the most, and certainly has been for a while, the kind of the mode of least friction, because you simply get the yes/no prompt. There's no requirement to do any further authentication. So that's there. The balance is that you've got, if I go and start my Rufus, you'll notice that I don't get any authentication prompts, so that's very frictionless. I just get yes/no, but then maybe I do want some form of authentication. Now, I've still got to log into my system. We're still doing the meta defender check, and also we still have things like owner locking turned on. So there's still a lot of controls for the user to do this, but still, sometimes you might have a need for authentication at the point of elevation, but you might not want to have users doing that credentials every time they want to elevate something. And therefore we have the new, I say new, it's been out some time, but we have the newest form of UAC mode, which is the MFA mode. So if I go and save this, you'll see here you've got the option to have your own single sign-on, but if it's kind of SAML, you can have your own SAML too. I've just got the 365 Entra one configured here, and we have email match. That means that the email UPN of the logged in user has to match that of the MFA. So that's an extra protection as well. And also, if you want, you see here that usually for pre-approved applications, we would have confirm mode to make it easier because these are trusted applications. If you wanted to force MFA even on pre-approvals, you would turn this on here, but I don't have that configured. Anyway, so let's have a look then at what MFA looks like. And this I'm going to show you first is the kind of traditional code match. So I'm going to turn my phone authenticator on. We're going to have a look and see what this looks like. So just starting MFA. Okay, so now it's asking me to choose a method. I've got a few configured, so I'm going to go with the authenticator. It's going to send me a code. There it is. So I'm going to type this in on my phone, do the Face ID. It's all good. I'm cleared, and now I can go. Okay, so that is, it's totally passwordless. I don't have to type in a password. I just have to do the code match on my mobile device. So had I been using my computer and kind of forgot to lock the screen and walked off somewhere, it's not possible for someone else to elevate something whilst I'm away from my desk because there's the MFA mode to protect. But I still needed to get my phone out of my pocket, type in the code, put my face, in the camera, and so this is a very secure means of elevating. If I'm doing the occasional elevation, but if I was doing lots of elevations, then you might get something called authenticator fatigue. Okay, hence why I wanted to show you all what using Admin By Request looks like when you have MFA configured to use a biometric YubiKey. So that would be I think it's called a YubiKey 5C Bio is the one I've got. So I'm going to just quickly do some kind of jiggering around with cameras, and we'll go on to that mode next. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so I've just jigged around some cameras. You can see, so we've got, I'm on a piece of hardware. Obviously I need to plug in the YubiKey. So you can see the YubiKey is here. This is a USB-C YubiKey with a biometric fingerprint sensor on there. And then I got my Windows, my laptop here. So let's look at the same experience. So again, I've got ABR configured in MFA mode. So I just click on Rufus. Okay, and then it's going to open up the Admin By Request MFA prompt. Here we go. And then this is where I get handed off to the passkey. So this is where you can see the little light is flashing. So I just touch that like this, and that's it. It couldn't be easier, really. Just go through that one more time. So close that again. Here we go. MFA prompt, hand off to the key, flashing, and touch. That's it, just a touch. Okay, so you can see very little fatigue involved in using a YubiKey with a biometric sensor on there. Okay then, so what do I think the benefits of something like a YubiKey and Admin By Request, but I guess authentication in general? Well, yeah, you have MFA with your authenticator, but there are some issues with that. So the first thing is that you've got to get the phone out of your pocket, and that's kind of if it's one or two authentications every now and then, that's fine. But if you're doing a lot of elevations, for example, with our product, if you're a developer, that might be kind of annoying. Then you've got considerations like the passkeys. Obviously they're synced. If it's a software bound passkey, they're synced. So for example, if you're using a biometric fingerprint with your password manager, or using the interface that's on your laptop or phone, those passkeys will be shared with the cloud and shared around all your devices. So that's handy, but those have to be stored somewhere, and those possibly could be compromised. Your your laptop where the sensor is, your fingerprints would be stored in the TPM or secure enclave, and as part, the OS is talking to the hardware. So technically that could be compromised as well. And also, you depend on devices to be on and have battery to be able to receive those push requests as well, and to get those codes as well. So something like a YubiKey, which is like a completely standalone piece of little piece of hardware, the key for that doesn't go anywhere, stays on the hardware. So that is a really good benefit on the security side of things. You have to insert it, and you take it out, insert it, and it obviously travels with you about your person, and you can back it up, and you can put that back up in a vault, literally a vault. So I think in that respect, it's also super secure as well. And you've seen me using it with Admin By Request, and how frictionless that is as well. So it definitely wins on the frictionless front. It wins on the kind of privacy. I'm not syncing my keys anywhere front. There's an extra benefit to using something like a YubiKey with anti-phishing, in that when a YubiKey authenticates with a website, what happens, I believe this is the case, when the domain authentication occurs, the domain itself is stored in the hash on that YubiKey, so that in future, if you were to go back to that website and the domain was wrong, because perhaps you'd been caught by a phish, the YubiKey would not work. You wouldn't be able to authenticate against the incorrect domain. So the YubiKey, I guess you can kind of say, it has advanced phishing technologies kind of built into the tech, which you just don't get on other types of MFA. So there we go. That's really it for now. I hope you've enjoyed my little roundup of different types of UAC methods. We've looked at the native authenticate mode, the confirm mode, the MFA mode with the code match and authenticator, and we've had a look at the benefits of using a YubiKey with what I think is definitely the most secure and frictionless means of elevation with Admin By Request. Well, anyway, that's all for now, and cheerio.